the mustachioed hero that millions of people welcomed into their homes every week. He was the epitome of American machismo. Tom Selleck seemed to have it all, from the family dinner table in Blue Bloods to fast-paced vehicle chases in Magnum Pi. Prominence, wealth, and a 50-year career. But underneath his tough appearance and endearing smile lies a tale of loneliness, sacrifice, and a gradual, agonizing face-to-face with time. His journey, which has included both fame and the isolation of a 63-acre avocado ranch, has not been typical. The man who had Hollywood at his feet once, whatever happened to him? Let's find out the truth. Grow from rejection. Tom's near miss in Hollywood. Hollywood privilege was not something that Tom Selleck was born with. The family had no trust funds, no agents, and no commercial duties as children. His background was in the working class. Born in Detroit, Michigan on January 29, 1945, to Robert Dean Selleck, a real estate entrepreneur, and Martha, a homemaker. The English settlers who came to Massachusetts in the 1600s were the ancestors of his family. A legacy of hard work and not the glitz and glitter of the movie screen. When Tom was only 3 years old, the Selleck family relocated to Sherman Oaks, California in 1948. It was a pragmatic decision rather than an attempt at celebrity. Life was straightforward, disciplined, and motivated by diligence and modest ideals. Tom was a standout athlete in high school. Not because he was an actor. He became a basketball star at 6 with big shoulders and discipline. Because of his skill on the court, he was awarded a scholarship to the University of Southern California, where he joined the USC Trojans and first sought a degree in business administration. He had no intention of acting. Like his father, he intended to work in real estate, wear a suit, and move up the corporate ladder. However, a drama instructor spotted something out of the ordinary about him, something magnetic during his junior year. Tom took a chance after being urged to try out for parts. What was as a whim soon became a calling. During his final year at USC, he left the school to train with famed acting instructor Milton Katselas at the Beverly Hills Playhouse. Those around him were perplexed by the choice. He lacked a safety net and industry contacts, but he was patient and had faith. Both were brutally put to the test in what followed. Selleck made ends meet by doing whatever he could to appear in front of a camera in the late 1960s and early 1970s. He landed ads for Right G Guard deodorant, Salem cigarettes, Pepsi, and Chaz cologne. Long before it became famous, he was that man with the mustache. He participated in the dating game twice as a contestant, but lost both times. The publicity didn't lead to opportunities. All it did was assist him with his rent. He once filmed a commercial with Farrah Fawcett, who was then on the rise. However, even that brief encounter with celebrity did not result in genuine prospects. He tried out for dozens of positions, but he was consistently rejected. His screen tests were frequently rejected with ambiguous comments such as not quite right, too tall, or too stiff. He was marginalized by an industry that failed to recognize his talent for almost 10 years. Then the Vietnam War draft arrived at his door just as he was starting to lose patience. Tom joined the California National Guard instead of looking for a deferment or an easy way out. From 1967 to 1973, he served with distinction in the 160th Infantry Regiment, juggling acting school, auditions, and weekend training and drills. Tom was studying discipline in uniform as many of his peers accumulated IMDb credits. The jobs were difficult even after his service. In addition to making brief appearances in TV shows and films, he starred in a number of low-budget pictures, such as Daughters of Satan, In addition, he portrayed the recurrent role of Lance White, a too-good-to-be-true private investigator on the Rockford Files, which at last brought him some attention, but not yet a breakthrough. Tom Selleck was approaching 35 by the end of the 1970s and still had not secured a major part. The majority of casting directors had ceased contacting him after seeing him in an excessive number of unsuccessful pilots, 6. To be exact, Hollywood was already pursuing younger faces, despite the fact that he was tall, attractive, and endearing. He was forgettable, not attractive. Magnum Pi, the position that altered everything, followed. Also not only saved his career, but also completely changed it. However, the lengthy path to that point was filled with rejection, frustration, and an unusual refusal to give up. Tom Selleck had to work hard for his opportunity. The decision that altered everything was whether to choose Indiana Jones or Magnum. Tom Selleck had been working in the business for well over 10 years by the early 1980s. But all he had to show for his efforts was a run of unsuccessful pilots and low-budget parts. Then everything changed in 1980, in what would turn out to be one of the decade's most iconic television series. CBS cast him as Thomas Magnum, a relaxed but astute private detective who lived in Hawaii. Magnum Pi. It was more than a simple role. It was the part. At last, Selleck took center stage. However, fate struck once more just as Magnum was about to start filming. This time, it came from Steven Spielberg calling. Following the success of Jaws and Close Encounters of the Third Kind, the up-and-coming director had his sights set on Selleck for the lead role in Raiders of the Lost Ark, a new movie he was producing with George Lucas. Spielberg was delighted by Selleck's screen test. He was cast by the studio to play Indiana Jones, the fedora-wearing, whip-cracking archaeologist. There was only one issue. CBS had a deal with Tom, and they wouldn't budge. The network declined to let Selleck go despite his interest and the size of the opportunity. Selleck claims that he was pressured by others to find a way out of the legally binding contract, fabricate an injury, cause a schedule difficulty, or take other action. But he declined. He subsequently clarified, "I made a commitment at 06:55. I must be able to look my parents in the eye." In Hollywood, it was an uncommon choice motivated by honor rather than ambition. Ironically, Magnum's production was 6 months behind schedule due to a writer's strike. He could have easily filmed Raiders and made it back in time if he had pushed harder or played dirty. However, the moment was over. Harrison Ford, who was initially Selleck's second choice, was cast in its place 07-19. One of the most famous movie franchises in history began with the 1981 release of Raiders of the Lost Ark, which went on to become a huge box office success. Missing out on Indiana Jones may have been a career-ending mistake for any other actor. Not for Tom Magnum, though. He found that Pi was just what he needed. When the show began in December 1980, it immediately attracted viewers. The combination of humor, action, and poignant moments resonated with viewers. They also adored Selleck. His mustache gained notoriety. His Ferrari 308 GTS is a millionaire's dream vehicle, and his Detroit Tigers baseball cap is a signature. Selleck was a true celebrity by the mid-1980s, and Magnum had established itself as a cultural institution. He won the 1985 Emmy for Best Main Actor in a Drama Series for his performance. The program became a top-rated show in syndication for years and won several Golden Globes. Behind the scenes, however, things weren't as simple as they seemed. He started to feel the effects of the demanding schedules, long days in muggy humidity, and physical and mental exhaustion that came with filming in Hawaii. Due to the pressures of manufacturing, there was frequently little time for personal life or relaxation. Selleck started to wonder about the toll the series was taking as it went on. In the meantime, something remarkable occurred off-camera. He met British dancer and actress Jill Joan Mack in 1983 while filming the World War II film La Solder in London. They clicked right away. They married in a low-key, private wedding in 1987 after dating for a number of years. Tom was considering something other than his next project for the first time in decades. He had family on his mind. Magnum Pi concluded in 1988 after 8 seasons and 163 episodes, not because CBS decided to discontinue the show, but rather because Selleck was prepared to step down. He wanted to be more than simply a sign on a screen because he was tired. It was a very personal decision that left fans sad and Hollywood perplexed. Tom didn't want to perform, he wanted to live. He traded his stardom for his family and the ranch that kept him alive. Tom Selleck purchased a 63-acre avocado ranch in California's Hidden Valley in 1988. Dean Martin originally owned the land, but Selleck saw it as more than just a piece of property. It was atonement. He gave up the red carpet for dusty boots and irrigation pipes after years of being stalked by paparazzi and under pressure from studio executives. It wasn't just a show move. He genuinely desired a life in which he could work with his hands and raise a family. In 1987, he wed Jilly in a secret ceremony. Hannah, their daughter, was born a year later. Selleck has no desire to be a part-time dad. He deliberately distanced himself from Hollywood. In 2018, he said, "I quit Magnum to have a family, to Closer Weekly. It took me a long time to get off the train, but I try very hard to have balance. And this ranch has helped me do that." Life wasn't simple. A local water district sued him in 2015 for allegedly transferring more than 1 million gallons of water to irrigate his avocado farm during a record drought in California. The case garnered media attention. Memes took off. However, he ultimately paid $22,000 in secret to cover the costs of the investigation and carried on with his quiet existence. He once quipped, "I detest going to the gym, but I'll never skip a workout like working the ranch." Growing up, Hannah was surrounded by farms and horses. Her father is still her biggest admirer, even if she is now a successful equestrian. Selleck led a vibrant life away from the spotlight as Hollywood conjectured about his quiet. Although he changed the emblem from Magnum to Jesse Stone and beyond, he never completely left the company. Tom Selleck made a comeback to television in the 2000s, playing a very different character from Thomas Magnum. He revealed a much more vulnerable side to viewers as Jesse Stone, a troubled small-town police chief with a drinking problem and a broken history. One of the TV shows, Thin Ice, was written wholly by Selleck, while the others were based on Robert B. Parker's novels. He was more than just an actor in these movies. He authored, produced, and molded the series' essence. His unvarnished, modest performance won plaudits from critics. Fans reacted favorably to the candor. He received an Emmy nomination in 2007 for Best Lead Actor in a Film or Miniseries. Not ostentatious, but highly esteemed, it was a second wind. Beginning in 2010, Selleck also played Frank Reagan on CBS's Blue Bloods. He anchored the show with gravitas for 14 seasons as the stoic commissioner of police in New York City. It was among the few contemporary police procedurals that gave family as much attention as crime. He didn't intentionally control every scene. He said, "I planned it that way. I wanted the entire family to be the focus." However, CBS revealed the show's cancellation in 2024. To keep it operating, Selleck promised to accept a 25% pay cut. The cast was like family. He didn't care about money, and the staff was devoted. It had to do with purpose. Our time slot is still being won. He continued, I'll continue to think CBS will come to their senses. 13:35. However, the network remained unchanged, and the curtain came down. It was time for the intimate war that nobody anticipated. Tom Selleck is quietly battling the most intimate war of his life against time, pain, and the gradual loss of bodily independence, even as praises for his decades-long career behind the scenes continue to flood in. Concerned admirers noticed the 79-year-old actor in the San Fernando Valley moving visibly with difficulty in the beginning of 2025. A candid video of him clutching his truck for support went viral online, revealing his tired countenance and difficult gait. Many were taken aback by the deep vertical scars that ran the length of both knees, which served as a clear reminder of the previous surgery he had had. Typical treatment for people who have been worn down for decades, but one that takes a lot of physical therapy and mental toughness to recover from. He's doing it all correctly. He shows up to therapy, a family member told Closer Weekly. It's sluggish, but he's trying, incredibly slow. On some days, he requires assistance simply to cross the room. According to some insiders, doctors had even suggested using a walker if things didn't get better. Despite its practicality, Tom apparently took that suggestion very personally. This stage of life feels almost unfamiliar to a man who once sprinted over television screens as the nimble, charismatic Thomas Magnum, or who boldly patrolled the streets as Commissioner Frank Reagan on Blue Bloods. He has long since moved on from his days of jumping out of helicopters and pursuing suspects. The emotional toll of Blue Bloods ending after 14 years has created a significant void, adding to the challenge. His goal was that show. There's been a lot more time to sit still without it, the same person said. Pain also finds you when you're sitting motionless. In addition to the physical discomfort, Tom has apparently turned to food for solace, which has resulted in a notable increase in body weight. According to some estimations, he is currently over 350 pounds, which is more than 150 pounds more than when he was in his prime in the 1980s. According to friends, this has further complicated his recuperation and put additional stress on his joints. Tom Selleck, however, is refusing to give up. He still works on his property in California, feeding animals, caring for his avocado trees, and doing other tasks that his body permits. In an effort to impart the knowledge he has gained from years of celebrity, hardship, and self-discovery, he has also been quietly writing You Never Know, his eagerly anticipated biography. Despite stepping away from Hollywood, Tom Selleck continued to be present where it counts most in his family, his career, and the life he created on his own. Are you still a fan of Tom Selleck? Tell us in the comments. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe for more stories like this one if you liked it.